Hey ladies and gents, welcome back. This is going to be part 1 to What If Naruto Was a Shadow Assassin. So, with that being said, make sure to like and subscribe because I'm telling you to, unless you want me in your closet tomorrow, but whatever. Maybe people do like that, but I'm just gonna pretend like they don't. So, anyway, I also have a Discord. I'll leave a link to that in the description below, along with something new that I implemented onto my channel that YouTube was begging me to do. So, basically speaking, YouTube kept giving me this weird notification. It's like, you haven't completed your YouTube channel out, whatever the frick it was called, because it wanted me to set up channel memberships, and it was just like, make a video advertising them. So, this is technically that video, so now I can click the OK button on that. So technically speaking, I do have channel memberships now. I'm not saying you actually need to do them, I'm just saying I did them because YouTube kept notifying me. So I'll leave a link to my Discord in the description below. I don't remember if I actually said that or not, and let's just get into the what if, because there's no recap, because this is a part 1. So like most of my what ifs, we're going to start out with Naruto's being born and how exactly this is going to be affected. We'll keep it the same with his parents. It's Minato and Kushina. However, a weird mutation of sorts, I guess you could say, would actually pop up during this birthing, and it's a weird concept, but yeah. So basically, when Naruto is born, something weird happens. As Kushina is holding Naruto, he looks pretty normal. He's like a normal child. Kushina would be holding him, and then all of a sudden, Naruto would begin it's a weird amount of force that's being put onto Kushina's arms as Naruto begins, raising into the air. And she's like, what? Why can't I hold him down? What the fuck is happening? A dark purplish black light would begin shining down on the baby as it basically rose into the air. Eventually, when this light actually dissipated, they'd see a figure standing there, fully grown, around the same height of Minato, with a pretty similar build. Very dark, with this looking like flaming blue hair. Everybody was really confused by this, but just as quickly as it had shown up, it had disappeared, seemingly completely vanishing into the darkness. With that happening, they don't really know what's happening anymore. Obviously, this would be Naruto, because, shadow assassin. See what I did there? That's pretty, yeah, okay. So, with Naruto disappearing into the shadows completely, with nobody really even knowing anywhere near where he actually just went, things in the village would happen normally. Obito would still be like, I'm gonna release the Nine Tails, and, Minato and Kushina would end up dying, because, logic. But with nobody to seal the Nine Tails inside of, well, who exactly would get the Nine Tails in this what if? Well, I don't know who would. Because Minato still wouldn't want the Nine Tails to, lose. He doesn't want the village to lose the Nine Tails. That would, offset the balance of the different, QBs in the different villages. So he wants to keep it in the village. But who exactly should Minato seal it inside of? Well, that person is actually going to be Hiruzen. You may be wondering, why the fuck would you have it be sealed inside of Hiruzen? Well, out of everybody in the village, he probably has the most chakra of basically everybody there once Minato and Kushina both die. And Minato didn't want to seal it back inside of Kushina because Kushina would actually die shortly after, and he didn't want, the QB balance to be lost. So he's just like, who'd be the next best fit? Oh, sure, I'll do it inside of the basically who's going to become the Hokage. He has the most chakra, and he'd have the most basically best chance of being able to control it. So with that happening, the Nine Tails is sealed inside of Hiruzen Sarutobi because of the large amount of chakra that he has and everything like that. So with that happening, obviously, Minato and Kushina, they both die at this point. With that, they don't really have any Naruto little baby to put their thoughts and mind inside of, because he's kind of already gone. He vanished seconds after being born. That kind of confused him and worried them at the same time. They don't know exactly what's going to happen with that. That's kind of confusing to them, but they choose not to question that, just like how you guys are choosing not to question it. Haha, get it? Because it's a what if, and you guys can't question anything. So basically speaking, some time would actually pass by. At this point, again, Naruto would actually be fully grown when he was, born, I guess you could say. He basically appeared and he was fully grown and everything like that. So randomly throughout the village, this is a few months after the Nine Tails attack at this point, people would be mysteriously disappearing from the village. There would be no trace of them, no sign that they had even existed in the first place, no trace of their body. They just disappeared completely, altogether. No sign of them at all. Obviously, this would call for some investigating with ninja and everything like that. And about a week later, the disappearances would still obviously continue. However, somebody would actually be watching or witnessing this time. some ninjas were actually like, they're investigating all of this, and they had an idea or a suspicion of where exactly this weird thing is going to attack next. They go to this basically location, and there they see it. They see this dark figure with really all they can see is flaming blue hair walking across. Almost like a floating head, but they can see the very hushed outline of a very dark figure walking through, almost looking like a shadow. They're obviously pretty confused by this, but they want to watch what's happening. They think that they can stop it from happening, but they want to know exactly how fast this goes. With that happening, they're about to basically interfere because they see that Naruto's about to attack. But to their complete and utter horror, they don't even see the creature move. All they see is the creature basically teleport across the entire village, and then it beheads somebody. They're like, what? They're obviously very confused by this, but then, almost as quickly as it had gone over there, the figure seemed to disappear into the ground, along with the body. That happening, everybody would be like, what? Obviously, this would be a very confusing thing for everybody watching because, that somebody just got fucking murdered in front of them. They didn't even see it happen. These are Jonin level ninja, and they couldn't even see it move. And they don't even know what that is. It looked like some sort of devil. What even was that? They obviously are pretty confused by this, considering how I just interpreted them being very confused. And a little bit more time would pass throughout the village. Obviously, this would be reported to Hiruzen, who would remember back on that day, that weird creature that was actually Naruto floating into the air before completely disappearing altogether. The thing that set it apart was the flaming blue hair and the body that was almost like a dark shadow. He obviously would get tipped off that this is actually Naruto, and he'd be like, okay, it is Minato and Kushina's son, but I'm going to have to deal with it however I can. Whether that means I'm going to have to kill Naruto doesn't matter. I will do it. We'll have to protect the village. With this happening, Hiruzen would begin basically investigating. He, along with Kakashi and Guy, would begin investigating. Actually, not Guy, sorry. With Fugaku. The Ninetales attack hadn't actually, not the Ninetales attack, that happened. This is literally, probably not even a year after the Ninetales attack. So, obviously speaking, the village, what is it doing? The coup didn't actually happen. That never happened yet. Or Itachi, I guess, massacring them didn't really happen yet. So Fugaku, being invited to do this, would be very surprised, because this is he's heard of this. It's a pretty big village menace in terms of it killing everybody. He's kind of surprised that they're having Uchiha help with this. Yet, this might be a good thing, too. Because later on, this might mean that the Uchiha were put into some role of importance, I guess you could say. They might not actually want to, basically, hold that coup if they're treated a little bit better. But we'll get into that later on in the future. So obviously they would begin investigating this with Kakashi, Fugaku, and Hiruzen basically watching. This is literally probably not even a week later at this point, and they're just investigating. They need to figure out what this creature is and what it does. So obviously Naruto would begin attacking again. He does this basically every night, at the minimum 3 or 4 times a week. He would happen to attack this night, and they see it, just walking into the village casually. The guards at the gate seemingly already dead. How did that even happen? They didn't even see the thing move at all. They're really confused by this, but they're very wary as they watch exactly what's going to happen. They heard the reports, and they know that they're going to have to, to basically stop this creature before it can attack them. So, obviously, all 3 of them would jump down, as they think they are standing in front of the creature, or where it used to be. But as they look in the direction of where they thought Naruto was, he isn't there anymore. They turn around, and they see him about 20 meters in that other direction, simply still walking. They're obviously very confused by this. And Hiruzen yells, basically towards Naruto to stop walking. Naruto to basically stop walking, and, because, he got yelled at too. So, with him stopping, he turns around, as he looks at the basically little crowd of people that was watching him. It's only 3 of them, but this could be a good warm-up for him, he thought. As this is happening, obviously Naruto charges towards all 3 of them, with them basically completely being unable to react to the amount of speed that Naruto's running at them with. Even Fugaku would, using the, frickin' Mangekyo Sharingan is unable to actually properly react to the speed that Naruto's going at them with. With this happening, Hiruzen has to unleash a little bit of the Nine-Tails chakra. He's able to do that because of his chakra control, but obviously he's not like friends with the Nine-Tails or anything like that. He can go up to like probably the 3 or 4 tails, but he isn't able to completely control it. So he just goes to the 2 tails and he begins fighting with Naruto. With this happening, this shadow begins dashing back and forth. Because of the fact that this is night, this is the only time Naruto actually attacks, Naruto has a massive advantage. All of his stats are actually boosted at night, along with him being much harder to actually see, other than for his hair. Because of the fact that his hair is like blue flames. But this could actually be an advantage. If Hiruzen wanted to punch Naruto, all Naruto would have to do is make it so that where Hiruzen would see his head, he punches, towards where he thinks his chest would be. However, Naruto's chest would not even be there. He could be at a completely different area. Not like... It's kind of hard to explain, but basically, Hiruzen can't really see Naruto's body, really only his hair as he's fighting him. Naruto would have a massive advantage from this, along with all of his stats being boosted at night. So, Naruto would have an advantage in this fight because of those 2 factors, and he would begin walloping Hiruzen around. Each punch seemingly attacking a vital point of Hiruzen. His heart, and then his lungs. It doesn't pierce completely through his body, but each attack is like a snake biting. It's quick and powerful, but it doesn't last very long. With this happening, Hiruzen has to be very concerned. Why is Naruto, just months after being born, so proficient with fighting, and why is he even full grown at this point? Obviously, these questions would be running through everybody's minds after Hiruzen basically tells him exactly who Naruto was, but Naruto didn't get away without any cost from the other people. Naruto actually took off Hiruzen's arm before he actually ended up leaving. Because of the fact that the sun was about to go up, he didn't really want to be seeing that. He knew it would weaken him drastically. So Naruto would leave the village. He's a lot faster than any of the 3 of them, so he basically got away pretty unscathed. But he knows that he's going to have to deal with them one at a time. Dealing with all 3 of them at the same time might be a slightly difficult thing for him to accomplish here. He decides to just move on before he comes back, not too many nights later, maybe the next night and the night after that, but he notices that Hiruzen and the rest of them are not actually waiting for them. He goes into the village, kills a few people, and he ends up leaving, taking the bodies with him as he goes. This is exactly what Hiruzen had wanted, though. So with Hiruzen basically watching this happen, he just wanted to investigate Naruto's power. As he saw, basically, this weird black ooze seeping out of Naruto's feet before he faded down into the ground. He's really confused by this. He doesn't know exactly how Naruto's teleportation jutsu works. He needs to figure it out, though. He knows he needs to. Remembering back to what Hiruzen basically did, or not Hiruzen, what Minato did, he remembers. Since, obviously, we're going to assume a few things here. 1, Hiruzen is stated to know every single jutsu of the Leaf Village. That you may have to assume would actually include the Flying Raijin jutsu. You'd kind of just assume that. So with Hiruzen actually ended up watching this, he realizes that he has to use that. He cannot use it anywhere near the proficiency of Minato, but he knows he can place at least 1 seal onto Naruto. He hadn't really been able to tag Naruto before, basically in their fight, but he knows that he's going to have to even just touch him in the next one. So the next night, Naruto would return to the village once again. Hiruzen basically going up to him. He has basically a few of the most powerful ninja in the village behind him. Might Guy, Kakashi, Fugaku, Itachi, and Shisui. All of them being behind him. He just wants one simple thing. He needs to touch Naruto in order to put that seal onto him. He knows that this is all he needs to do, and he knows that Naruto could escape at any point if he really saw fit. But Naruto wouldn't be doing that. He didn't know of their plan. Naruto charges forward toward Hiruzen, seeing him as the biggest threat, not really having to fight any of the other people there. Obviously, with him charging forward, Hiruzen would barely manage to dodge out of the way. But this is exactly what Hiruzen had actually wanted. With Shisui, Itachi, and Fugaku all going in different directions, they managed to hold Naruto down barely long enough for Hiruzen to touch Naruto. This would obviously be enough to put the seal on him, but Naruto, during this encounter, realizing he needs to get the fuck out of there, would fade down into the ground, as that black oop, but basically would, form around everybody. With this happening, all of them would begin sinking into it, unsure of what it is, unsure of how to actually react to this. Hiruzen would end up teleporting outside of it using the flying Raijin, but the rest of them wouldn't be able to do anything as they begin sinking down into it. Kakashi and everybody else unable to do literally anything about it. With this happening, Might Guy would begin opening the gates. The first, the second, the third. He gets all the way up to the 6th gate, and he's still unable to basically be able to escape from this. What is this? What the fuck? He's really confused. He doesn't know what exactly it is. He's basically up to his belly at this point, and he knows that they all need to get out somehow, some way. Hiruzen begins basically watching them, and he knows he has to figure out how to do something. He places some of the flying Raijin seals onto all of them, but it dissipates the one that's on Naruto, because Hiruzen could only have a few lasting at the same time. He tries to teleport them out, but it's seemingly useless. It doesn't do anything. All of them just teleport, but it teleports the ooze with them. Hiruzen is completely shocked. They're up to their chest at this point, and they're quickly sinking down. Guy opens up the 7th gate. Still not enough for him to be able to escape. Maybe if it was only at his ankles at this point, but it's not. It's up to his neck. They need to figure out a way to escape, but there's seemingly no way. At this point, Obito would show up. Basically be like, hey, I could help them, but for one cost. With this happening, Hiruzen would quickly turn around, seeing Obito standing there. This is shortly after the Nine Tails attack. Obito had been watching for the past few weeks, and he knows exactly what was happening. He saw Naruto, and he knows that his spatial time jutsu is more powerful than Minato's, and would most likely be able to save these people. Hiruzen would ask Obito exactly what he wants in return for this. Obito gives a mischievous smile. None of them can actually see it though, because it's under a mask, but they can see that glint in his basically right eye. Or I think it's the right eye. Isn't it the right eye? I don't remember. Whichever of the eyes isn't covered by his mask. With this happening, obviously they would be very wary of what's to come next, but Hiruzen basically tells them, or not Hiruzen, sorry. Obito would end up telling them. I want Hiruzen to come with us. They're really confused, and he's like, what do you mean you want Hiruzen to come with you? I simply want Hiruzen. The rest of you guys can stay here. They're obviously very confused by this, and they don't know exactly what this means. They're up to their mouths in this weird black goop at this point, and they basically tell Hiruzen it's his decision since it would be affecting him. Hiruzen obviously would accept this, knowing that these people would not, they would not survive. They'd have no chance of surviving, and they'd be more of an asset to the village than he would be. He knows this, so he ends up he basically tells Obito, he's like, okay, I'll allow it. You can take me with you. Obito would give a smile, and he'd allow the others to escape. And especially with Itachi, he knows that he might come in handy later on if his plan did succeed. With this happening, obviously the basically people that were trapped in that black goop would actually end up getting out of it, with Obito teleporting them outside of it into his Kamui dimension before teleporting them back out into the real world. With this happening, Kakashi would be, he would remember this, but he can't use the Mangekyo Sharingan at this point, so he doesn't, he just can't simply. But this might come into a little bit of a realization later on. But, obviously Hiruzen would end up going with Obito, who would obviously get the Nine Tails extracted out of him once the Akatsuki had, formed up enough. So, with all of that actually happening, Naruto would basically have gained and lost absolutely, well, he kind of gained because he doesn't have to deal with Hiruzen anymore, but he kind of lost relatively nothing because of the fact that, he doesn't have the seal on him anymore, along with the fact that Hiruzen is going to be dead. But now getting back to the factoid that I actually mentioned earlier, the whole thing of the actual, basically, what is it called? Remember how I said the Chiaku might not actually happen? Well, we're going to be getting back to that right now. Obviously, there would need to be another Hokage. But who would that actually be? Itachi and Shisui are too young at this point because they're not that old at this point. And there really isn't any other, actual good candidates. Minato and Hiruzen are both gone, and there's really not anybody old enough. They might have Jiraiya or Tsunade return to the village, but they don't know where either of them actually are. So with that happening, Orochimaru's already gone at this point too. He left because, yeah. So, with that obviously happening, the next person to actually be appointed as the Hokage would actually be Fugaku. You may be wondering, the village would never actually allow that to happen. Well, I don't care. There wouldn't really be any other options until they actually ended up finding Jiraiya or Tsunade. So they appoint Fugaku to be the basically leader, and he's just like, okay. So basically, Danzo, fuck you. You're out of here. You're not going to be an elder anymore. Along with the fact that if Hiruzen hadn't already done it, he's like, okay, I'm gonna basically dismantle the actual, like, his version of the Anbu. The Rut, I think it's what it's called. And he's like, yeah, you can't do that anymore. And yeah, good luck. You're not an elder anymore. You don't have any power, basically. Obviously, Danzo would be very pissed by this, but he couldn't really do anything about it because, you know, Fugaku would probably just kill him if, you know, came to it, because, you know, he has Itachi and Shisui on his side. Danzo's full of himself, but he doesn't think he could take on the 3 strongest Uchiha all at the exact same time. Because at this point, he doesn't have all of his eyes from the Uchiha massacre. He doesn't even have Shisui's eye. He doesn't even have a single Sharingan at this point. So he would allow this to happen. He'd be like, okay, I won't fuck with you. Good luck. So that's exactly kind of what he does. So basically, next time, yeah. But I think I'm going to leave this part here. So I'll see you guys in the next part. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you later. Peace out. Bye.